The do's, the don'ts, the maybes of quick beads. Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
And this is DIY Detail. Quick beads is a very popular product that a lot of people like, but some people have a few issues with it the first time they use it. We're here to solve those issues and maybe show you a couple different ways of using it.
Quick beads is our spray-on, rinse-off ceramic sealant infused with graphene oxide. Ivan, a lot of people love this on clean wheels,
right?
And clean paint, and then they'll message us and say, well, this happened or that happened. So run us through what the possibilities are, why we would use it, and what they may not know about quick beads.
First of all, needs to be used on a clean, wet vehicle. We've washed this vehicle, it's clean and it's wet. Secondly, quick beads is water activated, so you need some form of water to help it along. The way we're gonna be doing this, we're using a pressure washer. A little later on, we'll show you with the garden hose. Either way works. Now, where people come into problems with quick beads is this.
Oh, Ivan's got some good technique here.
They put way too much on. That is almost guaranteed to streak.
So that's not good technique.
No. Next, they take their pressure washer or their garden hose and they rinse down and they don't rinse enough. And see all these little soapy beads? That is gonna cause streaking. Now, the proper way, let me rinse this off before we do get streaking, one sec. You want to rinse the quick beads across a panel, not down a panel, or even up a panel. It's up to you. Let's do that again, but the way we'd like you to use it, which is a couple glancing sprays. That's it. Next, we don't rinse down, we either rinse up like this, and then you rinse back down, or you can rinse across a vehicle. The whole idea is you're distributing the quick beads using the pressure washer. So again, if I start in this back corner here, let that activate for a few seconds. You're not in a rush at this point. And then, using the pressure washer, you'll see a little line of suds that I'm just moving across the vehicle. Once you've moved it across and distributed, then rinse down to remove any excess. The other part of quick beads that's very important, towel drying is actually part of the process. You want to towel dry as you go.
So if you're someone who washes without a hose, like you just do a really basic rinseless wash every week on your vehicle,
yes,
quick beads is probably not going to be the product you're reaching for.
No,
because this is a very hose-friendly product.
Right, you need a hose for quick beads. Envy, our ceramic detail spray, that you don't need a hose. Now, Nick mentioned this in the opening. One of the, let's say, spectacular uses, the favorite use of quick beads for a lot of people is this. Spray some on the wheel, again, let it dwell for a few seconds, then activate it using your pressure washer and it's good to go. Now, if you have a very intricate wheel, these ones are getting to that point, or a grill or something like that, where you want to get the quick beads in everywhere, but you don't want to spray too much. One of the ways of doing it is using your pressure washer. And spraying into the stream of the pressure washer. Let me demonstrate on this fender here. You'll see the sudsing happen when I do this. Now look at the amount of water left on the hood and the amount of water left on the fender.
Obviously the beads are better here.
Yes.
And it's worth mentioning, It's also a slicker surface under your drying towel. We want a slick surface when we dry, so this would be called a drying aid with protection in there as well.
Yes.
The question some folks may have is, can I do this wrong? I know you said too much is a big deal. What about sunlight? What if I'm doing the whole car at once versus certain sections?
Yes.
We get these questions all the time.
Right, if you're using it in direct sunlight, you want to break the vehicle up into smaller sections, meaning that I might do this back fender like I did and not worry about the door. Once the back fender is done, then I'll apply to the door. And be cautious of the wind. If the wind is blowing from the front of the vehicle to the back, you want to start at the front and work your way back, because there will be a bit of overspray that you want to make sure is rinsed off. The other thing, on a hood, on a windshield, this is great, but again, you never want to rinse down.
One thing Ivan's known for is using the least amount of product, wasting the least amount of time, effort, money, and product. Anyways, when you were spraying into the stream, I thought, that can't be the most efficient way to use quick beads.
Not the most efficient use of product, but sometimes the most efficient use of your time. And things like engine bays. If you're cleaning the engine bay, quick beads afterward is great. If you have very intricate wheels, this vehicle doesn't have one, but if you have a grill that's very intricate in a lot of different angles, spreading the quick beads using the stream of the pressure washer is a good, effective way of doing it.
Again, this is after you've washed it and rinsed it. It's wet, clean surfaces that quick beads get sprayed onto, and grills can take forever to clean,
Yes.
to wipe clean, to protect. So quick beads is fantastic in those spots.
Another area where some people have a little issue with quick beads is actually the hood of the vehicle. So I'm going to spread a little more along the bottom of the hood and then just a couple glancing sprays along the top. The reason for that, I'm going to start at the bottom of the hood and move the quick beads up the hood. And once again, you'll see that line of suds just going along. And always finish by rinsing down.
The water behavior on this hood was basically dead, and now I see lots of beads. So this is exactly what we want. At what point in the rinsing and the quick beadsing do you do the hood? Because I see quick beads coming down this front fender and that one.
Right, I like to do the hood at the end. Now, before we go to do the whole vehicle, because as a mobile detailer and even at home, this is the technique I like to use the best, because it actually doesn't take a lot of time. It can be done in direct sunlight if you're efficient with it. But Nick is giving us a little prelude to what's about to happen.
When we tell you how to decontaminate paint, we're always going to tell you grab your quad fold decontamination towel, sitting in your rinseless wash bucket, sitting in your Incredible Suds bucket. So typically you'd imagine this is your rinseless wash, right? That's your bed of lubrication. I've already washed it, Ivan.
Right.
I've got rinseless wash here. That's my lubrication. But I've also got some quick beads. One spray on the towel, one on the panel, and where I apply that towel, it was kind of scratchy, so I'm decontaminating and protecting at the same time.
Correct.
You can do that with quick beads. I know you can, but people may be wondering what's happening here.
Well, Nick is now using the towel to distribute the quick beads. We still need to rinse afterwards, so this is not something that's direct sun friendly.
If you're fighting a lot of contamination, is this the method for you?
Not necessarily.
I can tell you, I'm just using no pressure whatsoever, Ivan.
Yeah.
Until this entire hood becomes not only scratch free, but it feels smooth under my towel.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll invite you to do your half of the hood. I like to break the hood into two sections, so think of this as like two panels, right? A door is about as big a chunk of car as usually I'll consider a panel. This is about the size of a door. So you've got your towel, here's some quick beads if you need it. You may have some on your own. But this does go rapidly from rough to smooth. Maybe you can tell them what you're feeling.
Well, you can also hear it. And as I go, that roughness goes away. So yeah, it's instantly smooth. Couple passes is all you need, and no pressure on the decontamination towel.
Sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes it's pretty instant. With this, it went from rough to smooth very quickly.
Yes.
So the feedback on this was really rewarding. It's like, oh, this process works. You may have a completely trashed vehicle where it's not happening as fast. That may be a better spot where iron remover is your clay lube of choice.
Right.
So how do they choose? Quick beads is my clay lube, or iron remover is my clay lube?
Quick beads as the clay lube is for regular maintenance. It's not something that you're doing a deep dive decontamination. we have another video for that. But right now, this is just, your vehicle is okay. You want to add a bit of quick beads, you want to maintain it. Like we mentioned before, you don't want to let this dry on the surface, so very important to rinse it off. I can rinse down at this point. Now, how do we apply quick beads to the whole vehicle? And this is where a lot of people get a bit of confusion, and at the same time, once you have the process, it becomes super simple to do.
The way I do this is I make sure it's either dusk or dawn. So I'm not fighting a lot of direct sunlight. If I'm gonna spray quick beads to the entire vehicle and then go ahead and rinse it up and flush it down, I'm gonna make sure sunlight is not one of my competitors.
Right.
Because I got plenty of competitors. My head, am I doing this right? Is my organization right? Am I tripping over towels and like, there's a lot of things to think about. I don't want to deal with the sun and quick beads at the same time.
Exactly. But if you have the luxury of not dealing with the sun, then I'll spray a little on the roof and work my way around the vehicle. Now this corner is the most important one in this situation, because this is where I'm going to be starting the process. Since I'm starting here, I'm actually putting more quick beads here than anywhere else. And you'll find out in a second why. Let me just go around the vehicle, add a little bit. I'm not using a lot, and let's not forget the windscreen.
I was gonna ask, are you prioritizing glass at all, or are you just expecting you're gonna be rinsing it up onto the glass later?
I'm taking it everywhere. Now, if you remember correctly, I put an excess in this corner. The reason for the excess is I want to start that little line of suds. Once I start that line of suds, I'm following it completely around the vehicle. Now that I've gone around the vehicle, I'm going to rinse the roof, starting at the back and working my way forward, following that line of suds. At the front, working my way up. Then I rinse the whole vehicle down. Very quick, very simple, very efficient, took less than 2 minutes. One of the final ways to use quick beads, and one that a lot of people find fun, is using the foam cannon. Yes, you can use the foam cannon with quick beads. Now, the dilution ratio is easy. 1 ounce for every 500 milliliters, or 1 ounce for every 16 ounces. So 16:1 dilution ratio. It's not gonna give you a spectacular foam, but it's the right amount to do the job.
So 2 ounces in your foam cannon with the rest water?
Right, but I only fill the foam cannon in half, because even doing a whole vehicle, I won't use half a foam cannon. You foam it on the surface, and then you rinse.
As I haven't foamed that on, because we've used quick beads, you're just looking at the water behavior here, and it is rapid evacuation. This quick bead stuff really works. Why would I use quick beads as a spray on and rinse off sealant?
Good durability, it's easy to use, it's fun to use, and gives a nice gloss slickness. And when you start drying the vehicle, you'll realize why you want quick beads. Like always, rinse across or rinse up, then rinse back down. Finally, quick beads with a garden hose. Just like before, I just spray a little bit on. Then, using the garden hose, I like to use the jet. Almost looks like a pressure washer. moving it up along the surface, then rinse back down.
So same principles as with the pressure washer, you're just showing people that, hey, if you don't have a pressure washer, Quick Beads is compatible with a hose.
Right, and if you're using a hose and you don't have a water meter, you can almost dry a vehicle with a hose.
That's pretty slick, Ivan. This almost looks like it's ceramic coated.
Almost. There is ceramic and graphene infused in Quick Beads. Now, it's not going to replace our 1-year ceramic. It's not going to replace our hydrate, but it's also a great way of maintaining your ceramic coating. A very important part of using Quick Beads is the towel dry. Do not blow dry it. That's a good way of getting streaks.
I can't help myself. I need to get this towel in the paint and dry immediately because the slickness is
immediate
and off the charts, some might say.
Yeah, it feels like velvet almost. Gives a nice feeling to the car. It's super easy to apply, super easy to use, fun to use too.
Do they need to spray it on in 4 different ways to get it to work the way you did?
You don't need to spray it on like we did. We may have used an excessive amount today, but all in the name of education.
Well, you mentioned excessive could be a problem, right? One thing I never have any issues with is being a little excessive, as I sometimes am, on wheels. Like, I'll do like 7 or 8 sprays on a wheel. Wasted product, perhaps, but I never mind the water beads on the rim faces.
No, definitely not. Now, if you want even more gloss and slickness out of your Quick Beads, take a small spray of Envy. Let that sit on the panel. We like to call that our sealant stack. Speaking of sealant stacks, Nick, what's the next thing up from a sealant? That's a ceramic coating, right?
That's a ceramic coating. Earlier, Ivan said this word you may not have heard of. It's hydrate, but with an 8. H-Y-D-R 8. It's our 8-year ceramic coating. It's a robust series of steps up from Quick Beads, Ivan. If they want to learn more about how to use it and what the heck it is, that video is right here.